Coca Cola could be just one more of the many brands of soft drinks found in bars, restaurants, and supermarkets. Surprisingly, the drink that was invented to be a medicine has become much more than a soft drink. Coca Cola is one of the symbols of modern society, and its famous logo is used as a print for many items, from clothing and footwear to school notebooks and decorative pieces. And although it is one of the most famous and recognized brands in the world, the company does its best to stay in the minds of consumers. Every day we are exposed to various advertisements from the brand, which almost always try to associate the product with good times and happiness. However, the cheerful and happy tone of the ads contrasts with the reality of a Mexican region where the company's aggressive strategies have created a population of soda and sugar addicts. In this video, I am going to show you how Coca Cola conquered Mexico, completely changed the local culture, addicted the population, and became a public health problem, causing the death of thousands of people. According to the World Population Review website, there are only 3 countries in the world where the sale of Coca-Cola is banned. Due to ideological and political differences with the United States, the beverage is not sold in Cuba, North Korea, and Russia, which joined the list after the outbreak of war in Ukraine. To conquer the world like few other companies, Coca-Cola used a lot of advertising and basically 2 formulas. The first is the drink's own formula, which according to the company is known to only a few people and is one of the world's best-kept secrets. The other formula, which is no secret at all, is the company's business model, which curiously does not produce the drink. From the beginning, Coca-Cola dedicated itself to producing only the secret syrup and left all the manufacturing and bottling to partner companies. These companies, called bottling companies, carry out the entire production and distribution process of the Coca-Cola company's more than 500 beverages worldwide. In Mexico, the mission of producing Coca-Cola beverages and delivering them to every corner of the country has been left in the hands of a few companies. Among them, one called Fomento Económico Mexicano S.A., known by the acronym FEMSA. From a business standpoint, the partnership is a success, and FEMSA has become the largest Coca-Cola bottler in the world. Today, FEMSA operates in virtually all of Latin America, parts of Europe, and even the United States. But before expanding globally, FEMSA and Coca-Cola conquered Mexico in a way that has not been repeated anywhere else. Through an aggressive marketing campaign, the company placed billboards and painted its logo on the facades of thousands of bars across the country, not to mention frequent television commercials. With lots of advertising and the ease of finding the product literally on any street corner, Coca-Cola has conquered the Mexican palate and has become a guaranteed presence both at meals and at social events, such as christenings and weddings. The strategy worked so well that in 2019, Mexico ranked first in the world among the countries that consume the most soft drinks per capita. On average, each Mexican consumes about 150 liters of soft drinks per year, which is equivalent to approximately half a liter per day. But in the state of Chiapas, the situation is even worse. In this region, in the south of the country, Coca-Cola has managed to introduce incredible changes, even in very old traditions. Today, the soft drink is an indispensable part of religious and indigenous rituals, just like incense, candles, and animal sacrifices. In a report published by The Guardian, a local healer claims that, being sweet, the drink is appreciated by the spirits. But it is the preference of the living for Coca-Cola that is causing many problems for Mexicans, including thousands of deaths each year. For Chiapas, which is the poorest Mexican state, the installation of a FEMSA plant should be cause for celebration, as it generates jobs and development for the region. However, in this case, the installation of a bottling plant in 1980 brought more problems than benefits. At first, the factory's production was small, just to meet local demand. But with increased consumption and some expansions, the plant has become the largest in southern Mexico, which has consequently increased water consumption in a region suffering from serious water supply problems. To meet its needs, the company has obtained authorization from the federal government to extract about 500,000 cubic meters of water per year from 2 deep wells. As more water went to soft drink production, less and less water reached the taps. In an article on the subject, the New York Times reports that water shortages are completely routine in the place, which paradoxically is one of the highest rainfall regions in the country. While residents often have to walk miles to get drinking water, finding a cold Coke is much easier and more affordable. For a number of reasons, which we will see a little later, a bottle of Coke or water in this region has practically the same value. Knowing this data, it is not surprising that in the region of San Cristobal de las Casas, each inhabitant drinks an average of more than 2 liters of soft drinks per day. Unfortunately, this places the region in first place in the world's consumption of soft drinks. And for the record, this is another case where cheap is very, very expensive. To win over consumers in a region marked by poverty, Coca Cola adopted the strategy of lowering prices as much as possible and placing the product in as many points of sale as possible. Thus, the product is available even in isolated indigenous villages that can only be reached by plane or by long forest tracks. Speaking of prices, according to the newspaper El País, in 2016, while a liter of milk cost 16 pesos, a 3-liter bottle of Coca Cola costs 35. But as I said before, cheap is expensive, and in the case of Mexico, the price is being charged in lives. Recent studies indicate that 3 out of every 4 Mexicans are overweight, and the country has the second highest number of obese people in the world, only surpassed by the neighboring United States. The problem is so serious that obesity is already considered an epidemic. And what is worse, weight gain is always accompanied by various diseases, such as diabetes. In recent years, the number of people suffering from this disease has increased by around 10%, and it is now the second leading cause of death, second only to heart disease. Looking at these figures, which are no more than the national average, you can get an idea of what is happening in the state of Chiapas, where the consumption of sugary drinks is 5 times higher than in the rest of the country. In the state of Chiapas, which has about 5,600,000 inhabitants, 3,000 people lose their lives each year due to diabetes-related diseases. In addition to the deaths, there are other effects of the disease, such as amputations and blindness, and even children are not safe. According to various reports, many children come into contact with soft drinks before the age of 1. A survey conducted in 22 villages in the highlands region of Chiapas revealed that around 10% of mothers serve this drink to their children before they are 6 months old, when they should be exclusively breastfed. And the percentage of children who consume soft drinks daily, especially Coca Cola, only increases as they get older. The effects are devastating because in a single 600 milliliter bottle, there are more than 60 grams of sugar. This amount is equivalent to approximately 12.5 tablespoons of coffee and is twice the amount recommended by the World Health Organization for an adult. In the case of children, this amount is up to 4 times the recommended limit. In this scenario, many children present a worrying condition, which is obesity combined with malnutrition, as they eat many calories but without the necessary nutrients. The increasingly early exposure to such a sweet drink is creating a generation of sugar addicts who consume ever larger quantities and always opt for sweeter foods. Another problem resulting from the consumption of so much sugar, combined with the lack of water and other factors, is the high incidence of oral problems in children. Figures for 2016 indicate that 98% of children in the state have cavities. If nothing is done and these children continue to consume so much Coca Cola, the future of the region could be even worse. When they realized the problems and that the damage caused by the soft drink was far greater than the economic benefits, such as the 400 jobs created by the plant, a group of local residents decided to take action. Neighbors began to act on different fronts, such as organizing a petition to revoke the agreement that allows the company to withdraw more than 1 million liters of water a day for a pittance. Another front of action was the protest for the company to reduce and change the announcements made exclusively for the region. According to Dr. Marcos Arana, the change in advertising is important because over the years, the company has created several advertisements that linked traditional elements of local culture with the soft drink, and this has created a feeling among the population that the product is part of the local lifestyle. According to the doctor, who works on the front line and sees the problems of the population on a daily basis, the company became concerned about the criticism and started to remove the posters. It is a small step, but it helps in the work of raising awareness among the population, especially the elderly, that the product is not part of the community, and that, although it is used in treatment rituals, it is actually a poison that does nothing but ruin the health of the locals. So far, progress has been minimal, and even as the movement grows, the question remains, will these protests be strong enough to take on one of the most powerful companies in the country and the world? It is no news that big business has enormous influence over governments in many countries around the world. But Coca Cola's relationship with power in Mexico has some interesting peculiarities, to say the least. For a long time, several of the company's employees have been invited to occupy positions in various governments, and many politicians who have left public life have curiously gone on to work in high positions within the U.S. company's structure. This movement is known as the revolving door, and reached its peak at the end of the last century, when Vicente Fox became president of Mexico. Before entering politics, Fox had worked for 14 years at Coca Cola, where he served as president for Latin America. Among his closest collaborators were several employees of the company, and he himself recently confessed that the company was the first to donate money to his campaign. Obviously, all this power is used to obtain advantages such as authorization to use water in San Cristobal de las Casas for a fee of less than $300 a year. The company also obtains tax exemptions and other benefits, which in turn are reflected in lower costs and higher consumption. But even so, popular pressure succeeded in getting the government to create a special tax on sugar-sweetened beverages in 2014, which raised the price by approximately 1 peso per liter. Although the tax will curb sales by around 7%, as we have seen, the problem is still serious and will require much more action from the government. The company's version is, of course, different. According to company officials, the company's withdrawal of water does not affect supply, and the lack of water is blamed on urban sprawl and lack of government investment in distribution networks. As for the increase in the number of diseases, a company spokesman told the New York Times that Mexicans may have a genetic tendency to diabetes. Coca Cola also claims that it carries out important reforestation work in the region and has already planted hundreds of thousands of trees, thus contributing to the preservation of water sources. Since the company cannot be expected to reduce the sale of its main product of its own volition, the population and governments must take the necessary measures to put an end to this serious problem through awareness and public policies for access to drinking water. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to receive more amazing content. Thanks to all of you who have joined us, and until next time.